Good morning, gardening friends. It's Saturday, April 21st at about 9:30, and I got another project I'm going to try to do today, although it's supposed to be one of the hottest days of the year, so I don't know how far I'm going to get. It's this wall over here. I've been debating, planning, engineering, whatever you want to call it, just trying to make sure I had my design right, because honestly, trying to build this whole structure here was a disaster. It's racked. It just doesn't look right. It's functional. It seems to be actually kind of helping all the vegetation in here, which I guess you can call this part of a regular update. You can kind of see what it looks like. Unfortunately, I get things like this now, which I gotta figure out. I have to get rid of all of these stupid mushrooms. I'm hoping that it's not the structure that's causing that. But so here's the plan. I'm going to take this and I'm going to build a structure that's about 10 inches front to back. Let's see if I can kind of navigate over here. Part of the reason being that I've got this table on my patio here, and trying to walk between that and the next thing gets a little tricky, so I'm trying to build a narrow structure but something beefy enough and with enough storage on it that I can fit all the plants I have and have a little room to expand, and or build more sort of custom planters like that, but on a much smaller scale. Oh, and by the way, I've got another flower on the squash plant, but this one just doesn't look right. Thinking now seriously about just planting another one, and then maybe what I'll do is I'll plant one in a smaller pot, watch it grow, and if it starts growing faster than this one, I'll just pull this one out and transplant. I don't know, because this one's, it looks like the one on the right is finally sort of taken, but the one on the left hasn't. Anyway, back to this. So the plan is to make it just as deep as this brick here, so it's not sticking out any further than this brick. Ultimately, I'll build another one running along this side of the patio, and the two of them will kind of lock into each other so that it'll be freestanding structure, not attached to the wall, self-supporting. Because if it's only 10 inches front to back, it's going to be a little tricky trying to keep it from tipping over. So initially what I'll do is I'll just put some boards on the bottom, kind of like this, just running front to back to keep it from tipping. So that's what we'll have there. Those will be temporary, and then once I get everything else built and locked in, I'll get rid of the temporary supports and I won't be tripping on them. So that's the plan. Now we'll just show you some bits and pieces. I'm not going to do a full-blown how-to on this. Okay, so it's about 10 a.m. now, and here's what I'm doing. You can see I've got lumber out. That's not all of it yet, but what I'm doing is to be smart about it this time after some mistakes I've made in the past. So I was saying, to be smart, what I'm doing is I'm measuring. I don't know how well you can see the lines there, especially with my shadow getting in the way. Let's see if I can find another line up here. Wow. No matter what I do, I end up getting myself in the picture. Oh, I know. I'll go on the other side, so the sun's in the other direction. There we go. So now you can see, I hope, the lines. Anyway, the point is, if I measure everything out, mark everything on the 2x4s, and I've already got all my measurements on a stack of these little notepad pieces of paper here. So, and I can't, and now the glare is so bad I can't even see what I'm telling you. There it is. So I have the all the measurements here. This is not something that I'm going to post measurements for, because this is just so completely custom, but I'll show you basically what I'm doing. In any case, the point is I've already figured out all the measurements on paper. Now I'm going to mark them out on the boards just to make sure I actually have enough wood. And then I'll start building frame by frame and drag them into the patio and put it all together. Okay folks, it's now, let's see, 11:15. I had a couple of interruptions, but I've got everything measured. Thankfully everything fits within 7 boards. I bought 8 just to be safe, just in case something goes wrong somewhere. But now that I've measured it all out, and there was one mistake that I made in my design that I realized as I was measuring everything, but I recovered from that, and it still fit in the 7 boards I was expecting, with probably the largest scrap remaining is going to be, I think, let me look at my notes, I should have a 30-inch and a 31-inch scrap remaining. This is the main legs and cross pieces for the structure. There'll be some smaller pieces to join two frames together, you'll see as I build it. I didn't bother to measure out to cut those because I've got plenty of scrap lying around, and it's going to generate a bit of scrap too. So I should have enough here. Now I've got to go run a couple of errands and come back and hope it's just not too hot to actually cut all this lumber. It may turn out they get it all cut today and I end up building tomorrow and or Monday, so we'll see. Okay, so yesterday was pretty hot, and so this is the pile of wood that I cut. And so we basically have got there were 3 pages, so on the left is the 3rd page, the middle is the 2nd page, and the right is the 1st page. And that's the scrap lumber left over. And there's one more board. I bought 8 2x4s. I only needed 7 of them, but I can always make use of that other one for the next stage of this project, so didn't really waste any money there. So that's basically the update for now. I have a meeting today, and if I get back early I might try and start assembling. Otherwise I'll probably be assembling tomorrow, unless it rains. It's kind of the fun. Sometimes in Southern California it goes from hot to cold. You might think it was another region, but it's been kind of weird this year. Anyway, that's it for now. Okay folks, it is now Monday the 23rd, just before 9 a.m., which is why I'm not being really loud. It is overcast. It drizzled last night, but this is the first frame that I'm going to build. It's not actually screwed together yet. And the position of the boards in the middle may actually change because I actually have measurements I have to actually line them up to. But this is the first part. Alright folks, so here's what went wrong. The design actually was fine. If you assume that this post, made of all of these bricks here, if that post is plumb, and if this post is plumb, then all I got to do is measure across the top to get the overall dimension. And actually, as it turns out, there is, with the current design, room to spare, but they're not plumb. It is, for those of you not familiar with plumb, basically means it's level going from top to bottom. And as it turns out, it's not plumb. So it's actually wider at the top than it is at the bottom. So here's what I'm going to do. To be absolutely sure I get this right, I have now put the board that's supposed to be for the bottom all the way to the bottom where it's narrowest. This is going to be my reference point, the narrowest point. I'm going to take this piece plus, see, here's one. There's one scrap. Let me get another scrap. Actually, I'll be back in a second. Okay, so I've put a scrap on the left. I've actually put it on the ground. I put the bottom board, which is not actually for the bottom. It's actually going to be, I can't remember if it's actually at this level or the next grout line down. It's not. It's close to the bottom, but the point is, since the bottom is the narrowest, that's going to be the point on which I base everything. So this piece on the right is actually sitting on top of the board. So if I can get in there, so you can see, because it doesn't actually fit without banging it in there and compromising this wall. So what I'm going to do is just make a pencil mark right here that tells me where that board should be cut. That would make it an exact fit, and I'll cut on the inside of the line so it's actually a little bit loose, and then I'll base all my other measurements on that. The original, when I built it, it actually turned out that after I built it, it was actually bowed in the middle. So both the walls here were not plumb and my structure was not perfectly straight. So, but I will correct all of that now, and hopefully the next time you see this, I'll actually have a piece up. Well folks, I remeasured everything, made sure all of my measurements were okay, and had just a little bit of space. I got the first part of the structure, actually the first 2 parts of the structure up, because this is actually designed to go around. There's a little offset right there which matches up with the post. But as it turns out, after building everything, after all those careful measurements, the second piece of this that goes in front of what you see, that one's just a hair too wide. So I'm going to have to take it all apart, cut off a 1/4 inch, put it all back together again. Mercifully, I'm using better screws now that don't fight me going in. A different head. I'm going to just show you. These are deck screws. I don't know how well you can see that, but it's got a star-shaped head instead of the standard flat or cross Phillips head. Anyway, time to go take that apart and put that back together again and see if we can try and finish this today. It's starting to cloud up. The sun had come out. We'll see. Okay folks, it's done. Not even sure what time it is right now. It doesn't look really like all that complicated a structure except for this weird sort of jog here which takes into account that post. But that's just basically so it can be the same depth from where we're standing, where you're looking at it, to the back, which gives us a nice straight line. It's kind of like if you had an uneven wall in a house and you just decided to straighten it out. You could put a whole bunch of straight 2x4s in front of it, build another wall, and that's kind of what you get. So that's kind of what this is, except now it's got the framing that sticks up and over, so I can put some screening, which will be nice. I will probably clad this with this board here, although I've got to cut just a hair off of it. I'm debating whether to attempt to do that, just because it kind of looks ugly in its raw framed state. It doesn't look so bad from the outside. I'll show you that in a second. So that's what this frame is, and so now if you can sort of envision this running all the way across here in place of that shelf, and me probably moving the medium-sized planter. I'm going to swing around, make you a little dizzy, over here to this wall, where there's just enough room to fit that, which then means I can run the shelf all the way to the big planter, and I may take that cage off and continue the screening with 2x4s the way I have this one built. So this has been a lot more work than I thought it would be, but there you go. Let me back up a little bit. I'll show you from outside. Okay, so that should give you a little better view from outside. I'll probably pull down that one last planter box. Flower box. The other flower will probably stay there because it's sitting on top of one of the posts, and there's another one over there, so it's kind of bookending this screened in area. In any case, I actually did look at the clock on the way out, so it's about 4:30. I'm tired, and I need to actually fix my computer so I can actually process all of this video I've just shot and upload it to YouTube. So we'll see you when I get it fixed. You know, this actually regains a bit of its charm once you put some pots up on it. Doesn't look quite so bad. I'm not sure if I'm going to clad it with more of the fence board. I'll probably put something in front, or maybe I won't. Maybe I'll leave it plain like that. It's not so bad. Okay folks, so it's now the 25th, a little past 7 p.m. Skies are cloudy. It was supposed to rain today, at least 60% chance. Anyway, this is what it looks like now with the first of the screens on it. Got a little busy today. That's only just the one section. The other section to the right is also going to get some screening, I think. Still haven't completely decided, but there you go. It's all starting to come together.